Many of us out there find sports to be entertaining. It's our getaway from everyday life, and there's a lot of us that dedicate a lot of time to it. We sit down in front of our TVs and analyze what's happening on the playing field and then form our own opinions about what we're seeing. Passionate sports fans often find themselves debating about who's better, whether it's between two teams or individual athletes. I'm sure you heard debates like who's better between Michael Jordan and LeBron James, who's the greatest NFL quarterback. These being questions that really drum up the biggest debates in sports. Over in auto racing, there's a debate that has really taken off throughout the 2020s. Who is the greatest race car driver in the world? There's two names that get thrown around, Max Verstappen and Kyle Larson. Max Verstappen, who races Formula 1, and Kyle Larson, who primarily races NASCAR. These two drivers have established themselves as the juggernauts in their main disciplines. They both became champions in 2021 and haven't let up on their competition since then. Max Verstappen has gone on to win 3 more championships in F1, and while Kyle Larson hasn't been able to win another NASCAR championship since 2021, he has won the most races of anyone since then. They both doing their thing, but what ignited this debate? Why is one of them even considered to be in that conversation, and should this even be a debate to begin with? Well, this all started with Kyle Larson back in the year 2020. Larson was a full-time dirt racer that year because he was suspended from NASCAR for saying a racial slur. He was suspended from everything, but he got reinstated back into the dirt racing world first. And man, Larson was a goddamn monster that year on dirt. They said it was one of the greatest seasons from a dirt racer ever. Then he proceeded to get reinstated back into NASCAR, getting a second chance. The team he would be driving for is one of the most dominant teams in NASCAR, Hendrick Motorsports. A lot of people like to run with this stupid narrative that him saying a racial slur got him that ride, while forgetting that Larson was one of the hottest free agents going into 2020 and was already in talks with Hendrick Motorsports along with other organizations. Anyways, he climbs aboard his new ride in 2021 and proceeds to kick everyone's ass. He won 10 races and won the championship and would have been the champion no matter the points format. He was also continuing to kick ass in the dirt stuff, winning the big races like the Chili Bowl, Kings Royal, and the Knoxville Nationals. The run Larson was on during this 2-year stretch was amazing, and going into 2022, that's when you started to hear it. Kyle Larson is the greatest race car driver in the world. And it wasn't Larson himself that said it, the media were the ones that pushed that to the forefront. Yeah, a few of his fans were calling him that as well, but it was mainly the media. As Larson continued to do damage in racing, you kept on hearing this more and more. Larson was eventually asked about the debate between himself and Max Verstappen, and this was his quote. "I know in my mind, I am better than him as an all-around driver. There's no way Verstappen can get into a sprint car and win the Knoxville Nationals. There's no way he can go win the Chili Bowl. There's no way he can go win a cup race at Bristol. There's probably no way I can go win a Formula 1 race at Monaco, but I think I'll have a better shot at him doing what he does than him doing what I do just because of the car element. That's what gives me ease and confidence that, like, I know I'm better than him. Maybe not in the open wheel INDYCAR or Formula 1 car, but that's one discipline. I think I will beat him in everything else." You can quote that. What's the name Jeff Gluck gave Kyle? Blunt Larson? Yeah, that was definitely one of Larson's most blunt comments. But let's break this down. First of all, he's not wrong. Larson is one of those guys that has proven that he can not only hop in any vehicle and go really fast in it, but can win or at least perform very well in many types of different race cars. It doesn't take him any time to get acclimated to a different discipline. He's won in every NASCAR vehicle from a cup car all the way down to an ARCA car. He's also won in a sprint car, dirt late model, pavement late model, and one of his bigger accomplishments that gets forgotten about, he's won the Rolex 24 in a Daytona prototype and was extremely fast in it. And of course, you got his Indy 500 attempt. We're not talking about his second attempt, but the first attempt played out well for the most part. He qualified 6th and had top 10 pace all day and was getting better. But speeding on pit road cost him a potential top 5 finish. But he proved that he can go out there and compete in one of the biggest races in the world, once again putting his talent on display. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen has garnered many Formula 1 wins and championships, which is absolutely huge, don't get me wrong. But this is in one discipline that he's succeeding in. So why is he even in the conversation of greatest driver in the world to begin with? Because he's successful in F1? When Larson said he's an all-around better driver than Verstappen, he wasn't calling himself the best in the world. But everyone took it as that because they think Max Verstappen is the best in the world because he's a successful Formula 1 driver. Just because a driver succeeds over there doesn't automatically make them the best all-around driver. What puts Formula 1 on this high pedestal compared to other forms of racing? Is it the engineering, the fact that they race all over the world? Because everything about it is high-end? I just don't understand. And to some of you, it sounds like I'm hating on Max Verstappen and Formula 1, but I'm not. I like the sport and I respect Max's talent, but being the best in one discipline in general doesn't make you the best in the world or even puts you in that conversation. Don't care if you're the best in F1, NASCAR, INDYCAR, IMSA, dirt racing, drag racing, the list goes on. In my opinion, if you want to be in that conversation, you have to race in multiple disciplines and be successful. Do I think Kyle Larson is the greatest driver in the world? No. But at least he's making the case to be in that conversation someday as he continues to build his resume across motorsports. You can't really say that about Max Verstappen. Okay, he races other disciplines in iRacing, but come on. He's tested GT cars and other vehicles in real life, but he still hasn't raced these cars in competition yet. He's expressed interest in endurance racing, which is cool. Let's see what you can do outside of F1. I want to see him behind the wheel of many race cars in competition. Now, unfortunately, he admitted that he doesn't want to race in the Indy 500, which eliminates his chances at going after the Triple Crown, which consists of winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Monaco Grand Prix, and the Indy 500. Once again, nothing against Verstappen, but until he starts to branch out more, I can't put him in the conversation of greatest race car driver in the world. This whole debate has always been kind of silly in my opinion. If both of these drivers were showing how versatile they are at the same time, then yeah, we could have this conversation. But until that happens, if it ever does happen, y'all just wasting your time debating this. And why are people debating about these two being the greatest driver in the world where there's guys out there that have done way more than both of them combined? If you're talking about all-time greatest, I'm easily giving that to Mario Andretti. He set such a high bar and it's going to be extremely difficult to match what he's done. But if we're talking about the greatest driver in the world within the past 20 to 25 years, basically throughout the 21st century, there's two names that come to mind easily, and that's Juan Pablo Montoya and Tony Stewart. Now, one of them I'm going to give the nod over the other. I think Tony Stewart has been the best driver in the past couple of decades, with Montoya being a very close second. And I would sit here and tell you myself, but there's a guest on this channel for the first time, and they have the same opinion as me when it comes to this topic, so I'll just let a friend of mine, JC, explain it. So take it away, homie.
Tony Stewart has been racing since he was 8 years old and was winning right out the gate. He went from go-karts to midgets to INDYCAR to NASCAR in the span of like 20 years. The guy was winning elite championships in all those divisions. Say what you will about the importance of crown jewels, which obviously add a lot to somebody's resume, but dominating one form of motorsport after another is something else. Who the heck else wins a championship or two on dirt, hops into some high-speed open-wheel cars, gets the championship there, then shows up on top of the stock car racing world, literally winning on all track types? Tony Stewart won his share of races at Sonoma and Watkins Glen, Bristol and Martinsville, a ton of intermediates, and then of course Daytona and Talladega. Now Regan Smith might have something to say about that last one, but we're not going to talk about that. Meanwhile, Donnie Schatz is winning one championship after another in the World of Outlaws for a team also owned by Tony Stewart, who was doubling down by taking ownership of a NASCAR team and winning a championship for himself. A few years later, he hires Kevin Harvick, who also earns him a championship. Now, NASCAR find themselves in a lawsuit over the exact same charter deal Tony Stewart did not want any part of in this spec car era that began a few years ago. He moved on to NHRA drag racing a year ago, where he currently finds himself atop their standings with a team he started in 2021. Now, I don't know if he's going to win that championship, but he's there, and he's leading it as I'm recording this. Tony Stewart just gets cars. He understands everything they are capable of and knows how to make them perform better than everyone else's. He's proven that. Even when he's not the one behind the wheel, he is still the guy building whatever type of cars wind up in victory lane. In my honest opinion, I find it difficult to name anyone other than Mario Andretti with a resume as massive. But maybe Juan Pablo Montoya is close. My point to make is that if Tony Stewart isn't the greatest of all time in auto racing, personally, I'd absolutely call him the second greatest. And when it comes to NASCAR, that's just the tip of the iceberg. In other arguments, I could say the same about Formula One.
So I know some of you won't agree with Tony Stewart being the best driver within the past 25 years at least, and that's fine. You may think it's Juan Pablo Montoya, and hey, that's actually worth debating about. Not this whole Larson versus Verstappen deal. I wish people can give it a rest because it's a worthless debate. When Larson fucks up, I get tired of hearing fans sarcastically say, best driver in the world. And I'm tired of people just thinking Verstappen is the greatest driver just because he's dominating F1. Why can't we just appreciate what we're witnessing from both of these drivers instead of putting them up against each other, which doesn't even make sense? Let these guys continue to build their legacies. I feel like so many sports fans end up becoming prisoners of the moment. I think it's cool to debate stuff, but it has to make sense, and the whole Kyle Larson versus Max Verstappen debate never made sense to me, and I've grown tired of it. I know the comment section is going to be wild, mainly Verstappen fans and F1 fans in general going at me because they probably feel like I disrespected Verstappen and F1 when I clearly didn't, but hey, it's the internet, so I'm definitely expecting people to twist my words. Anyways, I want to thank JC so much for collaborating with me on this and hope y'all enjoyed what he brought to the table. So what y'all thinking? Do you think Larson versus Verstappen is a legit debate? Is Tony Stewart the greatest driver in the world within the past 25 years? Or do you think it's someone else like a Juan Pablo Montoya? Do you think Max Verstappen will ever branch out to where he's racing in all types of vehicles? And do you think Kyle Larson is going to match or surpass Tony Stewart one day? It's a lot to discuss, so go ahead and hit that comment section up and I'll be checking them out. Me and JC are going to go ahead and roll up out of here. Y'all have a good one. Peace.